If you want to see change in your child's eating habits without pressure, constant mealtime battles, or the shame you grew up with, you're in the right place. Welcome to Family in Focus. I'm Dr. Wendy Schofer, the pediatrician helping parents lead meaningful change without harm. Here we focus on the connection and practical shifts that help families thrive at every size. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back. I want to say congratulations. You decided that things are going to be changing in your house. More veggies, maybe less processed stuff. You're cutting back on juice boxes, clearing out the cabinets in the pantry, and you are doing this. And then your kid looks you dead in the eyes and says, I hate this. Or if they're of a certain age, this sucks. Or they just started crying and threw the broccoli, whatever the newly fresh made food is, or started sneaking food into their room. And now you're wondering, oh my God, am I doing this wrong? Is my kid broken? Am I broken? What am I failing here? And so I want you to hear me loud and clear on this one. You're not doing it wrong. Neither of you is broken. But there's really something that's getting in the way that we haven't been talking about. And once you understand it, everything else makes a lot more sense. So when you introduce a change in your household, any change, but especially around food, it's your child's job developmentally to push back. Let me repeat that. As a pediatrician in practice for 21 years, I'm going to let you know it is your child's job to push back. Kids are wired to test their limits. They're building something that's called autonomy. So it's a sense of their own agency in the world. And food is one of the few areas where even a 3-year-old can feel some sense of control. They can clamp their mouth shut. They can refuse. They can also be very, very loud about it. And so when the menu changes and the pushback starts, nothing has gone wrong here. That's just Tuesday night in a household that is very normal as you're trying to create changes and you have a developing human whose routine has changed. They're recognizing it and they're letting you know about that. The mistake most parents make is interpreting that resistance as a signal to back off, thinking, well, they hate it, so maybe I'll just go back to what it is that they liked. But the really hard truth for the whole family is that kids cannot be in charge of the menu. When they are, everyone winds up eating pizza or maybe dino nuggets for every single meal. So adults have two jobs. One, you set the table because you can balance the decisions between knowing what your child can and will eat right now and the healthy habits that you want them to practice and develop long term. Your second job is to expect the resistance and, quite honestly, equip yourself to weather it as par for the course and not to avoid it entirely. Now, before we talk about strategy, I want you to understand something about your kids' current eating habits, because this is something that if we skip it entirely, we're missing a huge opportunity to really understand why we want to go through these struggles. So their current habits, whatever they're doing right now, however they eat, whatever it is that they prefer to have on the menu, it's working. It's working for them in some way or another. It is solving a problem. So food is a remarkably effective short-term fix for a whole lot of things that have nothing to do with hunger. So let's think about the list. First of all, hunger. Obviously, okay? Food fixes hunger. But food also fixes anxiety, especially highly processed foods. They offer a really big bang of taste, as well as a repetition that a lot of kids are looking for the same menu over and over again to be genuinely calming for their nervous system. Another thing that food can fix is exhaustion. Now, this may not make sense right away, but if you think about this, at the end of a long day, or when physical or mental energy are decreasing, food can distract from the exhaustion and bring, a totally different type of energy that changes the mood and how kids feel in the moment. Loneliness. Snacking can be really social. It's really comforting by itself or with others, and it can create a new ritual that can counter that loneliness. And then, of course, let's not overlook boredom. Eating is doing something, and kids' brains are hardwired to seek stimulation. When there's a lull, they're like, I'm bored. They will often look for food to fill in that void or that gap in the moments of stimulation. So your child isn't sneaking snacks because they're defiant. They've really been learning through all of their experiences that snacks are simply making them feel better and honestly, really quickly. And that doesn't mean that you need to change things. But when you remove the fix, the snacking, before you've addressed the underlying need, well, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get resistance because from their perspective, you just took away something that was really working for them. And this is why a lot of willpower-based approaches, that whole we're not buying it anymore, they'll adjust, can backfire. Not that it doesn't work, it's that you have more pushback. The need doesn't disappear. The behavior just gets louder because they're trying to meet their needs and they no longer have the food that they turned to before. And so the pushback can also be a lot harder for parents to deal with when you're exhausted too. So candy wrappers under the bed. How much fun that can be when you're already exhausted. So what do we do instead? We need to build a bridge. So not a wall, most definitely not some kind of a podium to preach from or to explain nutrition from. It's a legit bridge, something where you can connect with your child to draw them towards the change instead of pushing them away from it. And this is what it looks like in real life. So, first of all, address your exhaustion first. When our stress becomes dependent on our child's need to change their behavior, so thinking, I will be less stressed when my child stops acting this way, we're putting, the cart before the horse. And this is actually a really big misstep to identify. When we take a moment or 5 to calm our nervous systems before engaging with our children, we are creating the biggest change right there. We are creating a bridge to them by first regulating ourselves, calming down just a notch to be able to be a little bit clearer about where it is that you want to go. Our kids are meant to be on this roller coaster of emotions. That's part of their job description. And so in order to weather that, we need to take care of ourselves first. Number 2, build autonomy and expect pushback. So before you make changes, spend some time just being there with your child. Find places where they can choose and express their interest. Now, maybe that's clothing choices. Maybe it's an activity, it has nothing to do with food. Or maybe it's having some input about what types of foods they do want to eat more often. Maybe it's what types of snacks they want to have in the house. When you serve something that's not their choice, remember that, they are disappointed and they are also learning how to feel and perhaps express disappointment. That is a part of the process. Number 3, make the unfamiliar feel safe. So you don't have to overhaul everything at once. In fact, please don't. Okay, do not do that. Buy one new food and pair it alongside with something that they already will readily eat. And it's not a trick. It's actually just trying to group things together to build on. We are totally trying to build bridges and grouping foods together that you already know this is accepted. Let's see how we can pair it together. That is creating a repeated low pressure exposure to a new food alongside of comfort of what it is that they already know and readily will eat. This is also a big part of how taste preferences develop as we're chaining together different foods. And then number 4, name the need before you change the food. So if your child is reaching for snacks when they're bored after school, what if you identify this is boredom in action and really address that first? Take a quick movement break or a few moments of one-on-one conversation, or find out what's going on underneath the surface, and then consider, okay, is a snack still indicated here or not? You're not eliminating the snack. You're not shutting the door on it. You're just, really exploring more about what's going on underneath the surface, and also teaching their brain that other things can meet that need as well, not just snacks. Now, remember, a bridge is not built in a day. Each one of these moments that we're talking about, each one of these opportunities is a place where you get to stay curious and to keep on building connection and practice and more steps all along the way with your child. So here's your takeaway. It's a 3-part formula. Number 1, expect the pushback. It is developmental. It is normal. You are not doing anything wrong when you are on the receiving end. Number 2, understand why and how current habits are working for your child, what need it's meeting before you try to dismantle it all. Number 3, build the bridge. Take care of yourself first, and then connect with their needs before you start changing anything about their food. Hey, you've got this. Parenting around food is genuinely one of the hardest things. It touches on everything, our own upbringing, the shame that we grew up with around food and bodies, but it also touches on control and love and anxiety and boredom and culture and memories. Be patient with yourself and your child because you are learning very new things and growing together. And by the way, if you have a candy sneaker on your hand, a kid who is stashing candy, eating in secret, hiding wrappers, I have something that's very specifically for you. No More Candy Wrappers Under the Bed is my new workshop where parents get to learn how to stop their child's sneaking and create healthy relationships. And so check out the link in my show notes. If you're listening and realizing that you want support applying this in your own family, that's exactly why Family in Focus exists. Please remember, I'm a doctor. I'm not your doctor. And this podcast is for education, not medical advice. Take what fits, leave what doesn't, and be gentle with yourself as you lead the change you want to see in your family.